Hello everyone, welcome to the Inside View on Latera TV. Hope everyone's well and an extraordinary week of politics. I'm here with Rachel Dabydoyal, who is Head of Alternative Delivery Solutions at international law firm Hogan Lovells. Hi Rachel.
Hi Caroline, thanks very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So congratulations first off, because one of the reasons, there's lots of reasons why we're speaking today, but one of the reasons is because you've been nominated on the European Women of Legal Tech, so congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a real pleasure to have been nominated, and alongside some really incredible female leaders in the field as well. So, you know, very good set of awards in terms of raising awareness and getting more women interested in legal tech as well, which is also really important.
And having more conversations like this, actually, like giving it almost a springboard. We shouldn't need a springboard really, but it's just great to have that sort of, you know, springboard to make, you know, I think the more conversations we have like this, like you're obviously you're a role model for a lot of people, so it's great to have you on to talk about what you're doing. So now tell me, in terms of your remit, so obviously you're Head of Alternative Delivery Solutions, which is growing, isn't it? So tell me, yeah, over the years, so since 2016. So you officially took over as head last year, but actually you've been in the role really longer than that, haven't you? Much longer.
So I mean, it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a journey actually, and when I look back, I can't believe sort of how far we've come. The Birmingham office actually opened in December 2014, and that had, it opened up with just 12 lawyers, and they were an extension of our London practice groups. In March 2016, that's when we established the Legal Delivery Centre when I joined the firm.
Okay.
Back in those days, it was just me and a few temps, and it very quickly grew because of the quality of the service. If we fast forward to today, you know, we have a permanent team of 15, but space to scale up to sort of 100. And last year we ran at a head count of 80 throughout the year. So, you know, it really has taken traction.
So I might drill down into, so I want to sort of give people the overview of the whole thing, and then I'm going to come back to Birmingham, if that's all right with you. So you've got under you, within your remit, you've got Birmingham. You also run the external relationships with Cognia Law, Elevate, I don't know how you define FTI. So those kind of external ALSP law companies. Elevate would not thank me for not calling them a law company. But where we'll come back again. We're going to
strategic partnerships, absolutely.
Strategic partnerships. And then I'm looking forward to, so we're going to talk about a couple of examples of how you're working with them, which is very cool. And then also you've got Phoenix, haven't you? So you've launched a similar to Birmingham, but in Phoenix, which was about a year ago, which is also falls under your remit.
Yes, and then in addition to that, I've got a resource management team in London who help with internal work allocation and the flexible lawyering platform that's in collaboration with Elevate. So that comes under my remit as well.
It's not quiet, is it? I can tell it's like
really keeps me busy.
And you work alongside, just because I think this is quite relevant. So you work in terms of, obviously there's a big legal project management aspect to what you do, but that falls on, that's kind of falls alongside you under Erica Godwin, is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but they obviously, I guess LPM kind of segues very neatly into what you're doing.
Well, we're all within the practice operations team. So Erica, myself, Molly Nichols, who heads up technology assisted review, and we all work in very close collaboration. If you think about it, we've almost got the people, process, and tech, and combining them together then gives us the solutions.
That's what I use that term often. I think a lot of us have been emphasising it should be people, process, and tech. Fine. So as you mentioned already, so you started the alternative legal services journey started out in Birmingham with you actually call it the UK Legal Delivery Centre. Yes. So tell me, I mean, it's interesting because I've actually been looking into the centre, and I feel like I should know it better than I do, to be honest with you, because it's been going for quite a long time, but I feel like, I don't know if I'm alone, but it would be really helpful to just drill down a little bit into, you said there's 15 with a capacity for 100, but so who is it mainly, tell me like kind of who, the type of people that are working there, and then also what the plans are for it.
Yeah, so it's headed up by Hugo Olivier, who's our centre manager. He then has a team of lawyers that report into him and help supervise the work. And then the rest of the team is made of experienced paralegals. And the way that, at the moment it's a relatively small team, but it gives us that flexibility to then bring in contractors. We've developed a really deep pool of excellent contractors that we use time and time again on various different projects. So we find that flexibility works really well for us, both in terms of the quality and the efficiency on costs.
And so I'm just glancing at my notes. So, and they typically, so they'll help you with things like document review and due diligence projects. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, it all started with document review for litigation, but it's really expanded right across the practice groups. Yes, they do a lot of due diligence in regulatory reform. They're working with debt capital markets, real estate, some really sort of complex matters that they've been able to support our London team or our Paris or Germany or whoever it may be. So it's not just a support for London either. It is sort of a global.
Okay, and in terms of the tech, so what would you so I'm going to come on to this. I'm going to repeat myself over the course of when we sort of look at the different elements. So do they have? They're working with the likes of Kira, etc. in Birmingham, aren't they?
Absolutely, they are our Kira experts. They're often the ones that are supporting on the large reviews, and they can either use Kira as part of the due diligence, or they can then support the lawyers if they're doing it directly. But yeah, absolutely, they know the tool inside and out.
Okay, and what would you say is their core tech stack? Obviously they've got Kira, but what else would you say that's their kind of like go-to tech stack?
It depends on the nature of the job. As a firm, we've invested in carefully selected sort of best-in-class technologies. So, it could be Brighter, which is a no-code platform, so we can use that for electronic playbooks, decision tree type analysis, Draft Express to automate document automation. We've got Contract Companion, we've got Litera. There's really a whole plethora. It just depends on what is suitable for the particular job they're working on. And then, of course, you've got all of the review technology that goes in hand with litigation, such as relativity, brain space, and analytical tools like that.
Okay, cool. And then, so you've obviously, I'll come back to that because I'm really interested as to, because you're expanding out and you're taking this sort of interesting layering approach. And I think it's really interesting as to going forward, like who's in the driving seat, because I think you're very much always in the driving seat, who has the licenses, how it's working in terms of where the data is, that kind of thing. I find it really interesting. But so working chronologically, the next step, I think, in the evolution of your area, of this area, was the partnership with Elevate, which I think happened in 2018, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So I think I spoke to you and Stephen Allen that time. So and that was the start really of your strategic partnerships, as you refer to, or external collaboration. So perhaps you could tell people a little bit about how that works, and whether perhaps it's working as you expected, or how it's evolving how it's evolved since 2018.
Yeah, sure. So the partnership with Elevate enables us to bring in extra lawyers if we have capacity needs, and it also enables us to forward second them on to clients where we don't have the resource internally to meet secondment requests. It's very much a partnership. Elevate truly understand our business. They understand the quality and the criteria that we expect from our lawyers. Every candidate is always partner interviewed, and they're then onboarded into our systems, and they work as our permanent employees do, recording time to the various different matters. We found it incredibly helpful, particularly where teams are incredibly busy and you're looking for a really specialist skill set. And it's also been really well received by our clients. We've got a number of Elevate lawyers on secondment with clients. It's also a really nice platform to be able to re-engage with our alumni as well. Quite often we'll bring some of them back, so it's a really great avenue to enable us to do that.
Do you think the best model, so I'm really fascinated by the different models, so do you think there's a benefit to having an internal, and we're going to come back to this in more detail, I'm going to ask you, but
Sure.
an internal alternative delivery team, but with the ability to flex it using outside resource?
I think, given the cost pressures in the current climate, to me, it feels like the only sensible way of doing it. You're always going to need your dedicated core team, but to be able to have that flexibility and make it cost efficient, bringing in contractors, of course, that you may need to train, that you trust, that are of the right quality, and you closely supervise them, but bringing it all together under the Hogan Lovells banner really helps drive that quality and efficiency for our clients.
And is it a constant communication? Because I think originally, in terms of I think there was a bit of an element of having to see how it worked, wasn't there, in terms of what the level of resourcing. Is it a case of is it complicated? Is it a lot of hard work to make it work, or has it been fairly straightforward?
You learn and you develop and you improve your processes as you go along. We've got a really good model now. That's not to say that we're not continually looking for ways to improve it. But and I know we'll come back to Phoenix in a moment, but Phoenix was born out of the success of Birmingham because it's worked so well. And the guys in the Birmingham Centre work incredibly hard and make it look easy, but no, absolutely, they put a lot of work into making it successful.
So then scroll forward, I think it was 2019, you then set up the Cognia Managed Legal Services Partnership, which is again an extension of the legal delivery team. So tell me about, so obviously you've already got the partnership with Elevate. So how does this partnership what was the decision behind then sort of adding another layer of going to setting up with Cognia? What was it that you kind of were achieving with them that perhaps you're not achieving with Elevate, or was it just a case of having another layer and another different extra resource?
It's a different offering. So our flexible lawyering platform is where we're bringing in probably more specialist lawyers to give us that additional capacity or forward second. With Cognia, it is truly an extension of the delivery centre. So if we need additional capacity, they're able to provide that for us. We onboard them into our systems, they work securely, they record time the way we do. It's just that they're in a secure room in Cape Town.
Yeah.
The benefit, aside from surge capacity, is that Cognia have a really deep pool of finance experts in their lawyer pool, and also they have a good range of European language skills. So it gives us that additional flexibility and at an attractive price point.
Yeah, it's quite handy with South Africa being on the same time zone, isn't it, as well?
Exactly.
Yeah, because being able to communicate. So with Cognia, so you I'm really interested about the libel solution, which you just won an award for. won't say where from. So you co-architected the firm's libel solution. It's called Engage, isn't it? With Sharon Lewis, and it's a combination of Cognia, FTI, and Elevate. So could you tell us a bit more about that? Because I say up front, one of my interests, and this is from speaking to people like Michael Grip at Brighter and others, is that I think with libel, there's a sense that we've been talking about it for so long that we kind of feel like it's just old news and it's all taken care of. But actually, when you look at the amount of work still to do, and the actually, I don't think many law firms, to be honest with you, seem to be sewing up an offering like this. I haven't seen that many examples. Seems to be something that more firms should be looking at, being perfectly frank.
I think the first thing to say is that there was a lot of work that went into this over a long period of time. We thought about this really early, and alongside Sharon Lewis, there was Sue Whitehead, Isabel Wright, Freddie Marks, our pricing manager, our LPM team. There were a lot of people involved in creating this solution, including FTI and Cognia as well. Yeah. So we sat in rooms and we solutionized all together and threw out ideas and worked out how we would stack the various technologies, looking at the scale of these projects are really quite wide. And really working out, well, how do we deliver efficiently as possible, ensure the quality within the time frames, and what technology and process can we put in place to drive the efficiency. And it was born out of that, really. Lots of conversations, lots of trial and error, looking at what might work, might not, and then we were able to pull it all together. And by bringing in Cognia, Elevate, and FTI, and really having that deep collaboration, we're able to take the best of all worlds and bring it together. And it's all driven by our matter experts from our lawyers, and then the rest of us, help to drive the project element of it.
So Brighton's not involved, or is it?
They weren't originally, no.
Right.
I mean, the LIBOR solution has since, it's a great framework to help with other regulatory reform projects as well. And we've adapted it to assist clients with the EBA outsourcing guidelines. As part of that, again, we're constantly looking at the solution and seeing how we can adapt it. And we're bringing Brighter into that to digitize the playbooks that we'll be using.
Because a lot of it's about what they help with is the workflow, isn't it, in terms of automating a lot of the processes, because I guess that's where the real time savings come in.
It is. And we've got the integration between Brighter and Kira as well, which is really helpful. So, you do the review in Kira, you can then extract the relevant text into Brighter, and you can make the assessment in Brighter. You can then generate the documents in Draft Express. So you're really gaining those efficiencies all the way along. Right.
So is that what you're doing going forward for the live? I mean, tell me how, if you don't mind. I hope you don't mind me focusing. I just find this really interesting because as I said, I think that from conversations with people, it's something that people need to look at a lot more closely. And I think we're all a bit bored of LIBOR, but anyway. So with the original offering with Cognia and FTI, how did it work in terms of the sort of the way it all glued together?
I think the alternative legal provider world is fairly small, and we everyone knows each other, so it was very natural. We all work very well together. I know Janet really well. I know John Croft, Ryan Damala, and so it was really natural progress. We we all sat in a room and we threw the ideas out and really shared that learning and best practice.
They're both great actually. So fine. So we should say Draft Express. That's based on Contract Express, isn't it?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So has it worked out? So what do you think have been, before I move on to talk about Phoenix, with an eye on time? What do you think? Has it been popular with clients, the offering? I mean, you've obviously won an award for it. You've gained some, sort of accolades. Has the uptake been as you expected? Has it worked out as you've expected?
Yeah, we've seen a really good response. Clients are really impressed with the solution, and we're assisting a number of clients on LIBOR matters across the firm.
Okay. So tell me about Phoenix. So it was the start of this year, wasn't it, that you launched Phoenix?
Actually launched in December 2019, just the week before Christmas. I was out there. So it was about 6 months in the planning sort of and the actual standing up the operation. So it was an interesting one because, as it's slightly different to Birmingham. So it's a captive, which essentially means that we're on Elevate's premises. We have a Hogan Lovells lawyer who is on site in Phoenix running the centre, running the reviews. But Elevate supply our dedicated team. So they work purely on Hogan Lovells matters. And then we have additional resource via a flexible contract pool as well. So similar sort of model, but just slightly different. And, we spent a long time looking at the market, looking at what we thought would be the most cost efficient and, effective way to deliver this service for our clients. And we decided that on this occasion, we do it in this way.
Okay, interesting. And it's quite specific. So they focus on litigation, don't they?
They do.
What else? Litigation and.
So it's
mainly litigation.
Yes, it's the litigation, arbitration, and employment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's really interesting. So and in terms of the types, so obviously the litigation, but so in terms of the types of tech they're working with, is it the same as Birmingham? Is it what again, if you don't mind me asking, what's their sort of core tech stack and what sort of work are they doing? presumably tar
exactly right. You know, it's relativity, it's brain space, it's other analytical tools that we have. You know, much like our alternative delivery, our technology solutions are global. You know, it's really important to us that we have consistency, and so yeah, absolutely, they use exactly the same technology as Birmingham.
And there's a follow the sun element to this as well, isn't there? In terms of you're trying to create sort of 24-hour coverage.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, you know, the review can start in any of the locations, and then they hit hands off throughout the time zones, which, you know, helps deliver the review much more quickly.
Yeah. Okay. And then so in terms of so obviously there's a lot going on. I actually mistakenly thought you referenced the EBA outsourcing work I mistakenly thought that was being done elsewhere in the firm, but that fell under you. Is that right? That's all within your sort of group.
It's always with the partners, you know. It's part, you know. It's always a collaboration. You know, our partners absolutely at the forefront of the ideas and the solutions, and obviously they're the matter experts in the work, and then we pull in the various relevant departments to help, you know, finalize the solution and take it to clients.
How do you make sure where you've got, so I love firms where there are a few firms that spring to mind, which I won't name, where there's lots going on, right? And some of it's going from within the practice areas, and there's some partners in particular that are really keen and enthusiastic. How do you rationalize it so that to make sure that I suppose you don't curb the enthusiasm because you want them to be enthusiastic, but you're not overlapping, and B, you're kind of, I guess you're learning and you're not reinventing the wheel, because that doesn't really help clients, does it? If you're constantly, if everyone's doing the same thing just in little silos, it doesn't really help. So how do you try to make sure that, how do you rationalize it?
It sounds really simple, but we talk to each other. You know.
That's very old-fashioned.
I know, heaven forbid, but you know, we are a really tight-knit group within practice operations. You know, we will always pull one another into matters if we're not copied or we're not brought in. So, you know, we have that internal collaboration within our group, and as are the partners. You know, I appreciate there's some, you know, I'm sure loads of firms say this, but genuinely, our partners are very well joined up across the regions and across the groups. And they will always loop each other in, and, you know, we share best practice. And likewise on the tech side of things, we have a monthly call every month with key individuals who drive the technologies, so we're all aware of all of the tech across the firm as well. And as you say, you're then not reinventing the wheel, and, you know, all of the solutions that we create are there for the whole firm to use and adapt as they need to.
Yeah. Does that create because one of the things I think is really interesting is that I sometimes don't see a joined up strategy. You know, I think it's quite easy to work in silos, and I think the challenge really is to at the senior level in terms of the tech. I think this is, for me personally, this is where firms need to be really focusing their efforts going forward, particularly budgets are under strain, you know, with COVID, etc. And there seems to be like a real need to have a cohesive strategy that loops in everybody. Is that just about talking, do you think? Is that about sort of just communication?
I think so, and like you say, you know, having a clear strategy, and that comes to the top, and everyone being aware of it, and knowing who, you know, you need to loop in at the appropriate times, I think really helps make sure that you're collaborating and cohesive across the board.
Yeah. So one of my other questions, so firms, I find it fascinating the different models that are surfacing, right? So you've got some firms which are creating their own external company to deliver either tech, you know, productize their offering or whatever it might be, or create their own, effectively their own ALSP. There's lots of different models surfacing, and I think that one of the less common ones is probably, or one, I don't know, it's hard to generalize, but where you actually deliver it within the firm. I think that has been, for some firms, quite a challenge, and for lots of different reasons. So how have you managed to develop an alternative legal services offering within the body of the firm? and with all of the challenges that we know arise in terms of like the pricing is obviously often an issue. How do you, because it's a very different way of working, isn't it? So how have you managed to grow it within the firm itself?
There's probably two key factors that have contributed to the success. And the first one is that it's, innovation is absolutely partner led, and the partners understand the offering, they embrace it, and they, support us in selling it. Without that, I think it all falls down. So it's great to have that support from the partnership, and they genuinely, when I say they understand, there's a lot of our partners could show you how the tech worked. They know the team. They come up to see us in Birmingham if they're in London, or if they popped over from Paris. So there is really that embracement from the partnership. I think the second part is that we've developed really good processes and structures to ensure that the quality is right, because without that, the whole trust and confidence falls down. I think as long as clients and the partners can see the good quality of the work that we're delivering, then both of those combined factors have helped to make it a success.
Okay. And presumably, do you think it makes a difference for clients if it's what model it is? I mean, I suppose part of me thinks that as long as clients are receiving, work done at the right price by the right level, then actually it doesn't matter. But actually, part of me thinks the real benefit of doing it from internally is that you get that seamlessness in terms of being able to utilize your lawyers. So it sort of feeds back into a lot of the other stuff you're doing about the partnership. So you can, if you're doing it internally, it's much easier to have a sort of effectively a workflow, perhaps, where you're looping in your lawyers at the right point, so you're sort of doing the right work at the right level.
That's exactly right. I think it does provide a seamless service. It helps on the efficiency. And, I suppose if you were to wholly outsource it, then you need to manage that outsourcing. You need to get them used to the firm's way of working as well. So I really do think that our model is very efficient and provides good value for the clients.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we're sort of running out of time, but is there anything that we can expect? Firstly, thank you for coming on, because I know you've got a cold. No problem. And I'm sorry for catching you. It's election week, and everything's just gone completely nuts. So it's just been a very crazy week. So I'm grateful for you coming on. Is there anything else that we can expect from you? Is there anything else on the roadmap that we could, that we could look out for? Or is that not something I can ask?
Well, you can ask, but I think you might just have to watch this space.
Okay, well, we're a couple of minutes early, but I'm going to let you go. And it's really good talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely to see you. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.